of April. So hopefully we'll connect there.
Amazing.
Very quickly, Lauren and Sarah, and we're about to get going for our next session.
I know, I'm going to keep it really quick. I saw Kim's comment about lots of dancers in this group, and I just thought it was really interesting because I was a dancer growing up. I should have been a dancer in my career, but I didn't have the confidence and the self-worth to put myself in the positions to get me to where I needed to be. So I think it's a huge part of my journey, my story, and I haven't talked about it today. But it definitely, just really resonated with me. But I am Lauren, from the UK, based in the UK, travel a lot. So I am in France right now, but getting ready to head back to the UK tomorrow. I'm a nutrition coach. I'm a corporate nutrition consultant. Before I
Good
became a
morning.
nutrition
It
coach,
is my
I spent,
pleasure
10
to
years
introduce. I'm
working
Terry
in
Hall, by
corporate
the way.
environments, HR,
I'm the board
and
chair for
training.
WBENC
So
Florida, which is one of the
initially,
the regional partner
stepping into
organizations for
coaching,
WBENC
very
National.
much
And
women's
it's my pleasure
empowerment,
to
and from
introduce
that
Nancy
place
G.
of
Allen,
self-worth that
our
I
president and
was lacking, I
CEO
guess,
of our
when I
regional
was
partner
younger.
organization.
I then
We,
realized that there was
as
still
WBENC
this,
members, strive to
this
certify,
gap, I guess,
champion,
that I'd
connect, and
identified when I
celebrate
was in the
women-owned
corporate
businesses.
world that
And
I
Nancy
really
is a prime
wanted to
example
address,
of doing just that.
in
So
terms of
without further
employee
ado, Nancy
engagement
Allen.
and employee well-being. And so that's when I then took my nutrition
Hello,
coaching
everyone. I am
and
Nancy
stepped
Allen,
into the
and
corporate
as
world
Terry
again,
mentioned, we
to
certify,
bridge
we
that
connect,
gap.
and we
So,
champion
I
women
still
in
work with
business.
individuals
And I
as
have
well,
had the
but
pleasure
a
of
bit of a change
witnessing
of
many women
direction
like
from where I
Bev
first
who have
started.
transitioned from
Appreciate it. Thank you
corporate
so
world
much,
to
Sarah. Just one
business
minute to
ownership. We're
introduce us.
excited for Bev and
Oh
all
yeah, I
of
was
her
just literally
accomplishments.
just going to say,
And
I'm
you will
Sarah.
learn a
I've
lot.
presented
Take
earlier.
notes. She has
It's
lots
so
to
lovely
share.
to have
Thank
this
you.
space available, and thank you again, Ray, for creating it, and all the amazing women that are connected. I provide PR services, as I talked about earlier. But yeah, just wanted to say thank you, ladies, and I'm going to keep it super brief and go because I know you have another speaker. So thank you again.
Sarah, I loved your talk this morning. So thank you so much for all of you for being here to network, to connect. Remember that we do have a community where you can join, whether it's our paid community where you can maintain these beautiful relationships, or if you just want to connect with fellow attendees and speakers inside our Circle community, which is like a social media platform for you, you can do that free of charge. I'd love to see as many of you continuing on this journey, connecting with each other, staying connected within the community, which would be amazing. This is all about women empowering women. And I always say empowered women empower women, because once we have gone through that journey of self-healing, the growth, become our own leaders within our community, and we come from a place of service and support for others, we create a huge ripple effect. And when you've done your inner work and the healing, you are a better version of yourself to then empower and inspire others. So maintain those beautiful connections, support each other, share your information in the chat. And we have another beautiful session lined up. Thanks, Bae Marie. Good to see everyone. Stick around. I see actually a few people are still joining, which is amazing. Bear with 1 second. Amazing. So we have next speaker lining up, and she has big mission and big vision, and I'm so excited to welcome her in just a moment.
Recording stopped. Recording in progress.
Welcome. We have our next speaker lining up, ready to go. I'm so excited to invite the beautiful Bev Jennings. Now, Bev Jennings, she has been part of our community since last year. She is an incredible lady. What you may not know, that wonderful Bev today has a live audience as well. So she will be speaking on stage in front of a small live audience herself. And this is going to be truly an inspirational talk. When I first met Bev, I couldn't believe the amount of experience she has, the work that she has done in the corporate world, and the mission that she has today. So the next session is about See and Believe, Elevate Your Brand with Bev Jennings. And you can keep that slideshow on. So Beverly Jennings is the CEO of CEE company, which she founded to enable diversity forward and inclusion focused enterprises to achieve significant growth, leading with her vision to see everyone elevate. As a former head of global supplier diversity and inclusion at Johnson & Johnson, Jennings brings her C-level business knowledge and supplier diversity expertise to corporations and business owners. As a certified business coach,
Good morning. And Ramonia, thank you for that introduction, and thank Women Thrive for all the camaraderie and guidance over the past year. I've met some amazing women, and I want to thank WBENC for their support. They're here with us this morning as well.
We're not able to see you just yet.
Oh.
My apologies. We may just need to get your camera on, or...
Okay. My AV team is working on it.
No worries. I know you probably have a lot to manage there. Where are you joining us from, Beverly?
Actually, yeah, we're actually at the Gaylord Rockies in Denver, Colorado, where there are nearly 5,000 women-owned businesses and corporations who are participating in the WBENC Summit. So I thought it would be a great idea just to speak from here. We're very fortunate to have a small in-person audience with us this morning. WBENC, which is a regional partner organization of WBENC, and some of my J&J colleagues, as well as other guests. So we have a small audience, but we're so excited that everyone's here to kind of cheer me on. And many of them actually have walked the journey with me. So it's such an exciting time. Can everyone see me now?
We can see you, and it's over to you, Beverly.
Excellent. Thank you. So thank you all for joining, and happy Women's History Month. And thank you to all of the speakers who spoke before me and will be speaking after. There are 50 of us, so I just want to congratulate you for your great work. And hopefully you heard me earlier. We are here at the Gaylord Rockies in Denver, where there are nearly 5,000 women-owned businesses and corporations that are participating in the WBENC WBENC Summit. And I am fortunate to have a small audience here with me today, some colleagues, as well as members from the Regional Partner Organization. So again, thank you all for joining, those in person, those virtually. Happy Women's History Month, you thriving women, and all the men who support us. Again, congratulations to the 50 speakers. And let's start with the C story. Let's hear the video and see the video.
The C Company story. The fabric for C Company was sewn early in Bev Jennings' life, from being raised in the rural South in a modest household to working as a corporate executive.
I learned how important clothing is, and I loved how it made me feel inside and out. I saw the positive impact diversity and inclusion had on a corporation's success. I have embraced this approach for every leadership position I've held, from being the only African-American woman in management at JCPenney's to being head of supplier diversity and inclusion for Johnson & Johnson globally.
Upon her retirement from Johnson & Johnson in 2019, Bev launched C Company Consulting and Coaching Services. And now her career is about to come full circle as she launches her first full, ready-to-wear fashion brand in 2022. The vision for the C brand goes beyond apparel. C Company is a brand with a passion for diversity, inclusivity, and sustainability, as well as the mission to see everyone elevate. At C Company, these principles are the embodiment of the people who represent us, the products we create, and our suppliers we've intentionally and carefully selected. Over 80% of our employees, suppliers, and contractors are women, minority, and/or members of the LGBTQ community. And the majority of materials we use are sustainable. We believe you can make a difference in the world by embracing these principles of diversity, inclusivity, and sustainability that are woven into the very fabric and culture of everything we do. We hope you love the C brand products as much as we enjoy making them for you. We're on a mission to see everyone elevate.
And yes, we are on a mission to see everyone elevate. So for every story, there is a backstory. Those special stories that contribute to what's happening now. So let me tell you my backstory. I grew up in rural Greenwood, Florida, a small town in the panhandle of Florida. Imagine this, green fields for miles, farming cotton and vegetables. We were practicing sustainability long before it was called sustainability. And our communities had all races. We had Germans, white, Black, Latino, long before it was called diversity. And guess what? We all got along and we supported each other. Now, our home was teamwork at its best. My dad would get us off to school in the morning. My mom handled our afternoon arrival from school. And just like all teams, there's a middle manager. We called her Gran, our grandmother. And she was amazing. The four of us, so I have older brother, two older brothers, and one older sister when we were growing up. And our grandmother was so kind. She would come in and clean up behind the mess that we made, and we made a lot of messes with there being 4 kids. I was the youngest of the 4, but we would leave that house a mess. And imagine this, you come home, the home is orderly, you smell the aroma of wonderful food, and to boot, you're greeted with loving arms. That was my Gran. Now, our parents had full-time jobs. My mom and dad worked at Florida State Hospital. My mom was a nurse's aide. My dad was a barber. But they did more than that. They had a small business as well, or shall I say, multiple small businesses. Some of those small businesses were barbershop, beauty salon, country store, gas station, and yes, we even had what some referred to as a juke joint, which was a nightclub. So you can imagine there was always something going on. So when you think of it, I guess my parents were entrepreneurs. That's what we would call them today. But they really, really worked as a team. We had the ultimate teamwork in our home. Now, we didn't go without some challenges though. My grandfather, who had diabetes, actually had his legs amputated because of that. But guess what? The team took care of Granddaddy. His disability was always in the mainstream in the family. He was not invisible. He would be there for social gatherings, and he was very much a part of our family. They cared for him. So there was always that ultimate inclusion. And my grandfather was actually, would be considered a man of wealth back in the days. He had 200 acres. 200 acres. And he sent his daughters to an HBCU, which stands for Historical Black College and University for some of our friends out there in the virtual world. And more than that, our grandfather actually donated land to the church. In comes faith. Would you believe that church still stands today, Greenwood Chapel? So while my grandfather passed away years ago, he left a legacy of faith. Amazing. And when you have role models like that, they actually set a path for you to do the same. So guess what? When my father passed, we decided, the four of us, as children, now adults, we decided that we would take our father's property and give it to the other church that we grew up in. Again, planting seeds for my father. So that's amazing how generations can pass on blessings and gifts. Now, in our household, there were a couple of what I call parentisms, like my dad. He would say, it's not what you make, it's what you keep. My mom would say, it's not where you come from, it's where you want to go. And that echoed in my head for years as I went from childhood to adulthood to college and career. Each company had its own position, and it added, as each company and each position added new perspectives, lessons learned that actually helped shape my brand. So all of these experiences started to populate my personal brand. So, for example, I mentioned college, first of all. I have to tell you, and I'm proud to admit it, I graduated at 20 years old because I wanted to start to work. When you've had parents who have modeled what a multifaceted career could be like, you're ready to go. So I was ready to go. So I graduated at 20, and I can also tell you that 3 of the 4 of us got master's degrees because my mom was really big on education. So now I'm out of college, going to my first job. My first job was at a savings and loans association for an internship. Well, they kind of trumped the idea that my dad had about it's not what you make, it's what you keep, because there I learned financial management skills, which was great to learn so early because I knew that there would come a day, like at this present time, when those lessons would serve me well. So after that, I went into a position at JCPenney Company, merchandising and branding. So now we're starting to ease into this branding discussion. And I had the opportunity to start in Pensacola, Florida. And then I did my first startup new store in New Bern, North Carolina, when I got married. Now that's a whole nother chapter. We're not going to get into that today. But just know that in that relationship, I learned more than I could probably ever write in a book. But yet I grew. And so I learned a lot about brands. I could just see all the brands in the store. And, even when we were prepping for special holidays and prepping for regional contests and all of that, all the colors, all the brands, how could you not take all of that in? So then I moved to my next role at good old Sara Lee. So what did they say? Who doesn't like Sara Lee? So I was at Sara Lee in Fort Worth, Texas, and it was a really good opportunity for me. And I can remember that a few of us women leaders were highlighted in Sara Lee's big magazine. That was a big moment for me. And I was still pretty young at that time. Well, I got some other lessons at Sara Lee. One evening, or it was actually one afternoon, I was sitting there talking to my office mate, Nan. And for some reason, Nan brought up salary. And she told me what she was making, and I gulped. I was like, oh my goodness. Now, she was a white female, but we were very good friends. I think that's why she shared it with me. But I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my gosh. You know what we would call that today? Pay inequity, right? So here I am, young, not quite sure what to say, how to handle it, because back then you just didn't have situations like that. So I started to think about it, and I just said, you know, there will come a time that I can get this handled. So I was working late the same evening. In comes our president, whose office was right across from our office. At the time, I was in procurement, so I was in purchasing. We called it purchasing back then. It's procurement today. And I saw him, and he came by, and he said, hey, Bev, how are you? You're working late? I said, oh, yeah, I sure am. He said, how are things going? I thought, oh, my opportunity. Let me break down this wall, this issue that I have on pay. And so I told him, I said, I am doing twice the work. I have twice the responsibility. And I found out that she's making so much more than I am. And you know what I'll never forget? What he did was he said, first of all, I want to apologize for you having this kind of experience. And I want you to know I got this. I tell you, the very next day, my income shot up. It's amazing. And this is the way my boss put it, because he had a conversation with him. And he said, I got you cheap. I know I did, but I'm making up for that now. And I just said, thank you. So those are the kind of lessons, those are the imprints that you take with you on this journey of life, and quite frankly, this journey of brand. So then I moved from there. I got my MBA. It's time to move on. Got my MBA, and guess who came knocking? Johnson & Johnson. And I was delighted. As I look back on the experiences there were too many. I was trying to choose which one should I choose. There were so many good ones. There were a few bad ones too, but the majority were really good. And so with that, with my time at Johnson & Johnson, I'm just going to point out just a couple things that really made a difference for me that helped my personal brand. And it actually kind of put me on the map for a trajectory of growth. You know, you really are your brand. And I took it upon myself to start the first Women's Leadership Initiative, ERG, at Vision Care. It was VistaCon back in the days, and we made disposable contact lenses. And I took it upon myself to actually launch WLI, that's what we called it. And would you believe 2 of the executive committee members came down to support me? Now that's a big deal at J&J when they come down from corporate in a corporate jet to give you support. But they did, and that was a big moment for me. And that moment actually led me to receive one of 4 Johnson & Johnson Affirmative Action Awards. And I gotta tell you, my mom was so proud. She got to go with me, go up to corporate, and witness this. And as I walked up, I could just hear her echo in my head, it's not where you come from, it's where you wanna go. So that was a huge experience for me that then led me into great positions at J&J. I headed up a manufacturing operation of 1,200 employees. I had an opportunity to get promoted to vice president of process excellence and work across 60 consumer companies with their boards on how to improve their business. So these were big, big steps for me. And then the final step for me, which was global supplier diversity and inclusion. It was really my sweet spot. So at the end of the day, I had an opportunity to work with thousands of suppliers. And that really shaped my point of view about how to work externally. Even though I had worked with a lot of suppliers, I had not worked in this space. So it was really a very exciting time for me. So when you think of that culmination of those experiences, we're really talking about the evolution of brands, because at the end of the day, that's really for every touch point, for every conversation, etc. You know, brands create a feeling, right? So now I want to get a little bit of audience engagement, because I saw a few of our J&J colleagues come in. And as well, we've got our WBENC family here. So I want to ask you, do you have a brand that you love? Would anyone like to comment on a brand that they love? Terry, why don't you comment? We're getting really interactive here, virtual audience.
Okay, I don't know if this is on, but I love Apple products because my business is kind of centered around that, and I love that brand simply because they're always coming up with something new, and I love their sleek design, and design is important to me in my business, so love that brand. Always have, since 1993.
Wow.
Hate to say that long, but yes. I don't think
Awesome. Mike needs to be on next time. Okay, great, wonderful. Well, she talked about Apple, and so you're in love with Apple, right? That's a good thing. And for me, my favorite brand, is no secret, everybody knows it, other than C Company brand, is Louis Vuitton. And why do I love it? Well, first of all, it's been around for 170 years, and it has been #1 for luxury brands for 18 solid years. But more than that, it's really the way it makes me feel. And branding really is about feeling. So the first takeaway for you, we're finally getting there, is that know that for every person, situation, touch point, your personal brand is always showing up. So let's put up that first slide. And know that you are your personal brand. So Jeff Bezos says that a personal brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. And I think that is an excellent, excellent definition. So when I think about my journey, my brand journey, if you will, in J&J, it really brings me back to when I retired from Johnson & Johnson. I think I kind of stepped into that moment of, okay, now I'm not going to have this big corporation taking care of me anymore and me taking care of them. It was one of those moments of reflection, and I thought about it. I said, you know, when it comes to retiring, everyone's always giving gifts, but I want to give a gift. And so one of the things that I did is that I created a coaster that shared my purpose. I had never done that before. And I'm sure a few of you here, you probably still have that coaster. That's great, Julie. And what I did is I shared my purpose. Because what I wanted them to do, one, I didn't want them to forget me, but I also wanted to leave them with something that they may be able to think about their own purpose, their own brand. Because you know, it is a fact that only 10% of people will invest the time to know their purpose, and even less to have a purpose-driven personal brand. Well, when I gave them these coasters, I looked at that and I thought, you know what? This is a mark of a new era for me. As I get ready to launch my business, which I always knew, you know, I knew I would launch a brand, C Company. I named it 10 years before. I actually even came up with some ideas around what the C would stand for. And I started with, you know, C Entrepreneurs Elevate. And I'll tell you a little story about how I changed that and why. But these coasters really became a mark of a new era for me as I move forward. So along with the name, I really began to think about my values. You know, we always had the credo in Johnson & Johnson, And one of our CEOs used to say, the credo is the heart of Johnson & Johnson, and you can't live without a heart. And that really stuck with me. Another imprint on my brand, my personal brand. That credo guides 130,000 employees across the globe in over 100 countries and over 250 operating companies. So I had this inspiration of the credo, but I wanted something that would be easy to remember and apply. And so I began to think about the values for C. And this is another question, because again, we want to get you thinking. What are some of your values? Anyone willing to share their values in the room here? And also, please, virtual audience, feel free to chat, because we want you to feel this energy and engagement as well. Anyone here willing to share? Julie, you want to share?
Hi, Julie Asled to Toronto. Service is the rent we...
Here you are, Julie.
Yeah. Service is the rent we pay for the life we get to lead. And nobody demonstrates that better than Bev.
Oh,
so
I didn't plant that, guys.
You know you couldn't plant me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, and thank you for the compliment. I will definitely take that. So I want to talk to you about the values that we actually embody within C. And it's easy to remember because it's easy to believe. So let me walk you through those so that you can get an understanding, because values actually shape your brand, and that is really, really important. So when I think about starting out with the first value, which is really about B, just being your very best self. And what does that really mean? It means showing up authentically, because that is really, really important to do that. And it's all in how you show up and why you show up. Then there's the E for enriching your well-being. Now, one would say, well, you know, self-care is important, and I agree 100%. But we also have to think about the well-being of others, right, beyond ourselves. So that is a big part of that, a big part of the E. The L is living your purpose, right? Just a show of hands, I won't have you say, but how many of you in here actually have a purpose statement for yourself? That you know your purpose, you're very clear on your purpose. Okay, great, very good, that's awesome, because that's really, really important as well. Inspire and innovate. So it was really interesting as I started to work with the team on kind of the, you know, there's what you put on the wall, there's what you say, and there's what you do. And I began to feel so inspired by so many things. I mentioned the credo was a big part of that inspiration, but there were also other signals along the way that actually helped me, particularly when it came to innovation. So what I'd like to do is just share another video with you that really highlights why it felt so good to be at this stage of innovation after having been in corporate America for over 40 years. So can you play the video for us?
Lovely kind of, but strong kind of shapes. But then on speaking to Bev, with the amazing realization for me was that it's actually created of the two E's. So it's an S made of two E's, which is the C, everyone elevates. So I was pretty amazed by that. So I was like, well, let's let's roll with that as an idea. But because I hadn't noticed, and I'm actually a brand specialist, so I was like, well, if I've not seen it, maybe other people haven't seen that as well. So I thought we'd split out the logo and then create a pattern that you could see the word actually written, see repeated. So that was the basis of the pattern. But we also created these beautiful shapes by combining the letters together symmetrically, and just to create these abstract shapes that they look like hearts. They're curvaceous. Because we've done them in black and white, they're really bold and strong. So yeah, but I think the main thing was just to get to look inside the logo and work with that to create the signature pattern.
Awesome. So just wanted to share that. And also, by the way, the woman that you saw showing the scarf is our brand ambassador, Erica Dunlap, who's a former Miss America. So I just wanted to just have you get a feel for how we're walking the talk of our values and how much that means to us. So let's go on to the E, which is to elevate through challenges. And we had some challenges. I'd love to make it sound like, this brand execution, we were moving forward and see things were great. Things were great, but there were challenges too. As I look over some of the things that caused us to take a pause were probably some of the things that created the greatest learnings. For example, as much as we love working with our diverse suppliers, and we are living our values in doing that, one of our suppliers did not meet their commitment on our labeling. And we were basically left high and dry. Now, what that supplier didn't know is that I had packaging experience, which was great because I had that from Johnson & Johnson. But because we were now back into a retail market, there was so much that I didn't know and how to go to market there, because things have changed from the days of JCPenney's, early days, to now. But we got through it. My executive office leader took the responsibility, we worked through it, and we were able to meet what we call our new product launch. Now, there was some other emotional challenges too that we kind of went through from the time that I retired, or right before retirement, to launching C, and that is that we actually lost 3 family members in 2 years. How many of you have lost loved ones? Yeah, probably all of us, and even out there in the virtual community as well. So we lost our brother, our mother, and our sister. But much like my grandfather, who planted the seed of the big church, of the church, Greenwood Chapel Church, and now those seeds are taking roots for many, many generations to come, including our nieces and nephews and great nieces and great nephews. As I look at that, I think about the seeds that they planted and how those seeds will be lasting in our lives. So I just want to tell you to think about that when you have a loss in your family, because we all will have losses. We will have, watch our parents decline. We're at that season of our lives. But just know, make sure that you take the time to embrace these seeds that they planted and what it can mean for future generations. Because I'm telling you, our future generations, they have it going on. They really do. So when you think about, again, we're tracking along on the believe values. We're now at the point of going through challenges, elevating through challenges. We have to really pause too and think about valuing everyone. And that is really important that we do that. I've also heard the adage before, if you don't stand for something, you fall for anything, right? But it is important that we embrace and we value each other, because everyone has so much to give. And then our last E, when you think about that, and that is that everyone should give and grow. And I want to be real clear, When we talk about our brand and what we stand for, we do stand for diversity, inclusivity, and sustainability, but it does not mean that you leave out or exclude white men. We are all in this together. We all can give. We all can grow. We all can make a difference. So my hope is when you look at these takeaways that I've shared with you around branding, I want you to just take this in and feel it as I share this with you and remind you of the takeaways. You are your brand. Be very clear on your values and know who you are and what you stand for. Because all of these things can be very helpful to you in elevating your brand. And there's more. Guess what? We are debuting our first book. And what an exciting time it is. It's actually, thank you. So let me tell you a little bit about the book. Again, it's a culmination of this brand journey, right? And I wanted to be able, I actually thought about it. I said, here I am today talking about our grandfather, talk about what he did, my dad, my mom, this next generation. I said, I really want, this was over a year ago. I said, I would like to have a book for the family that can be on a coffee table when we're all long gone, that they have something that they can pick up and they can move forward, and it will give them a little bit of energy, and it will also give them perspective. And I thought, what better way to have that than to see and believe, which just so happens to be our company name as well as our values. And that is how I came up with the name. And I asked myself, well, what do I really want this journey to be about? And it was so natural, inclusion. But I want it to be a vivid transformation for individuals and companies. And so I posed a couple of questions to you. Do you see your most desirable future? Do you believe it can happen? Well, maybe what you see now is invisible, but it is time to entice others to see through your eyes. Adorn yourself in this extraordinary brand story and playbook to see and believe. My inclusion journey, along with insights from an inspirational collective who provides light lessons, just might be that spark that you need to ignite your transformation. So the book is available. If you want to take a quick photo of the QR code here, I don't know if they can actually see that QR code, but I just want to share with you that you can go on ccompany.co. You can learn more about our company. You can learn more about our offerings. And I would not be a certified woman-owned business if I didn't tell you to read our capability statement and to learn more about us. And oh, by the way, when you go there, there's a link to ccostyle.com, which then takes you to our fashions as well. And now we have the book. And so just wanted to let you know that that is coming out. We're very excited. We've been passing out bookmarkers here at the Gaylord and to our WBENC family. And so we're very excited about this book. I think you're going to find some real gems in it. Keep in mind, we did it really for you. Also, one of the commitments we made with Women Thrive was to have a goodie bag gift. And so that gift, if you go on ccompany.co, is a 20-minute consultation if you would like it. That is more on our services side, so we're happy to do that. And you can just sign up. It's on the website. Go on ccompany.co, and you can sign up. It's a virtual audience. Know that you may not be here today to receive a book. We do plan to gift a book to the folks who are here today, a signed copy. And before I wrap up and turn it back over to Ramonda, I'm very happy to entertain any questions that you may have. But I just want to acknowledge a couple people who have been so instrumental in this journey with me. One you heard earlier, that is Terry Hall, who's the CEO of Double Take. She has just been an amazing agency of record. And actually, we get along really good. So I have to thank Nancy Allen, because when I asked, who's the best WBE to work with, it was unanimous. Not only did she say Terry, but also Pat Birmingham at WBENC said Terry. And it's just been such a joy to work with you really now these past almost 4 years. How time flies. So thank you very much. And one other person, Candy Cross, who you will not get to meet, but she is our new collaborator, and she collaborated with this book. We worked together over the past year. She's been a joy. She knows like a ton of people, and it's just warmed my heart with her generosity to kind of import me into this literary world. And now I know how much I don't know. So that is really a good feeling to be able to do that. But it's just been a joy to work with her as we culminated this book. So let's have a round of applause for Terry and Candy. And I am happy to take any Q&As, any questions, if we have time. How are we doing on time, AV team? 4 minutes left? Okay. All right. Are there any questions, even from the virtual audience? Charlene.
Hi. First of all, Bev, congratulations on the book.
Thank you.
And I'm so happy that you made the decision to pour your experience into a book to share with us as well as future generations, as you mentioned, because I think it's so important that we do capture the brains of great visionaries like yourself for future generations. I did want to ask you about, I find it so interesting in terms of your brand, right? You C Company, and how you have very kind of diverse offerings within that. So can you just kind of speak to why you chose that approach? A lot of times companies might say, okay, this will be C Company, and then you come up with a different brand, but you chose to extend the brand across all the different offerings. Can you speak to that? Thank you.
Great question, because I actually missed that piece in my talk. So thank you so much for asking that question. Yeah, I actually, when I made a decision, well, services was easy because it's what I knew, what I've done for so long. But I have to tell you, when I made a decision that I was going to go into apparel, custom design apparel, starting from scratch, people were like, why is Bev doing clothing? Well, it kind of goes to the backstory. The reason I'm doing clothing is I actually started my career in retail, and I love clothing. And I also was one other sort of catalyst and inspiration is that I remember when my mom sacrificed so much for us, she only had 3 dresses. And I can remember a time when it was her birthday. And I sent her, I called Dillard's in Dothan, Alabama. I gave her a $1,000 gift certificate. She didn't know, but she got there and found out that she had a shopping spree of $1,000. It was the most money she had had for shopping in a long time. And when I tell you my mom shopped, she got back home and she called me and she said, Bev, I was treated like a celebrity. And I never forgot that. Here's a woman that sacrificed for us 3 dresses. Now I'm able to give back. And she felt like a celebrity. That's a brand. That's a brand. So that is why I made the decision. And frankly, I love clothes. I have to confess as well. So yeah, it was one of those things that I could have just chosen one path, but I really wanted to bring all of me to see. Yes, Julie.
I have a question and a comment.
Okay.
One of the things, my comment first, one of the things that that you didn't attribute to your upbringing, which is amazing to me because of the generation we are, is that your parents really instilled in you and your self-worth.
Yes.
As a woman, because in our generation, it was just work harder and then you'll get the money.
That's right.
Stay longer and then you'll get the money. And the money never came. So the fact that they so clearly messaged that to you.
Yes.
And you stood in your truth of doing that is very inspirational to me.
Awesome.
Because people today say, oh, it's what it is, but it's not. It was a generational thing that was very, very different. My question is, when you are living in your authenticity and you're showing up as your brand, what do you use as a mirror to make sure you look and show up the way you're intending?
Oh, you all are just planning the best questions, the best. Virtual audience, honestly, we didn't plan any of this, and I know we only have a minute left, but that is the perfect question. And what I go back to is my promise and my purpose. And that is to give love, to enjoy life, and to do the highest good. Because it's not where you come from, it's where you want to go. All right, great. Thank you.
We have a few questions from online and have a few more minutes.
Okay.
The question is, how can we women collaborate to create more impact in the world globally?
Great question. I was actually riding back from an event here at WBENC, and it's been amazing once again. And I had a woman sitting next to me, and we were talking. She's been in her business 20 years. I went in the coaching mode because, I'm a certified business coach, and it comes so natural. And we talked about strategic partnerships. That is how you do it. We think we have to acquire companies. We think we have to start from scratch, that we always have to go get capital. No, you don't always have to do that. You can foster positive strategic partnerships that can make a huge difference in your business. So that would be my advice, is to look at your net worth, which they always say your net worth is your net worth is your net worth. Look at that. And it is amazing what strategic partnerships can do for you and your business. So fuel it up with that. Any more questions?
You got nice comments on the feed.
Oh, good.
Yeah, great comments.
Good.
We have 90 people on the feed.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Any other questions?
Nothing online?
Okay, excellent. Again, thank you so much, and I'll turn it back over to Ramonia. Thank you all for being here, and thank you, virtual audience.
Thank you. Thank you. What a wonderful session this was with Miss Bev Jennings. Please make sure you grab the book. Take a screenshot of this slide right now. I am so taken aback by this beautiful presentation, the personal branding. How can we women step into more leadership? There was a lot of conversation about diversity and inclusion, personal brand, and how to create a powerful mission. I want to see what were your takeaways from this session, and how amazing that Bev was presenting from a live event, a live stage. We've never had this happen before. And this was just a beautiful opportunity to see how Bev is presenting at live stage with her beautiful live audience. So just want to say congratulations on this gorgeous book publication. I'm going to take a screenshot myself. I hope you are taking screenshots right now. And I hope that we're going to see some of your shares on social media. What a session. Global collaboration for global impact. What were your takeaways? I'd love to see that. The importance of having purpose driven personal brand. And I have some of the questions for our audience today. So I want to ask you a couple of things actually. How do you see making a difference in this world? How would you like your personal brand or perhaps your business brand to create a difference in this world? We've heard from Bev how her organization is making an impact in this world. She talks about her grandparents and parents having businesses and entrepreneurs, but we don't always realize the impact that we can make in this world. So I want to ask you, how are you going to intentionally create an organization, a business with a mission to make a positive impact? Ella, this was refreshing to see how Bev walks her talk. I'm inspired and grateful to receive her wisdom. How I will create a difference in this world. Beautiful, amazing. Love your comments, by the way, in the chat. And I just want to say that, when we started the Women Thrive community, I always wanted, it started with perhaps solving a problem for myself to create a community. But I've always seen this community as something a bit more than just women